Hi everyone! Welcome to our YouTube channel, Research Ready and Student Matters Hub by Doc Lynn. Okay, so kayo ba ay nakatapos na ng inyong research paper? Whether ito ba ay qualitative or quantitative at nakapag-analyze na ba kayo ng inyong data? Nandun na ba kayo sa part ng Chapter 5 or minsan Chapter 4 ng ibang research paper? Natapos nyo na ba yung ultimately na magagawa ninyo kapag natapos na ang inyong research? At ang tinutukoy ko ay yung tinatawag nating conclusion. Okay? Paano ba ma'am gumawa ng conclusion sa aming research? Isa ito sa kadalasan na nagiging malaking tanong sa mga researcher na hindi nila masagot at maiayos kapag sila ay nagde-defend. Bakit kaya ma'am? Kasi yung conclusion, ginagawa nilang extension ng pag-i-interpret or pag-present ng results or findings ng kanilang research. So may mga conclusion na meron pang mga numerical figures, sinasabi pa yung profile ng respondents, kung ilan ang babae, kung ilan ang lalaki. Ganon din sinasabi din doon kung ano yung mean or yung mean scores na nakuha nila sa kanilang paper. Nilalagay pa doon o kaya naman yung result ng significant difference or significant relationship ng kanilang paper, which is wrong. No? Ang conclusion ay kaiba sa results or findings. Kung gusto natin na ilagay ang mga numerical figures na iyan, ilagay natin yan dun sa ating tabular presentation. Hindi rin ito inilalagay sa recommendations. Now, paano ba ma'am gumawa ng conclusion? Commonly ito, generally or specifically, nakikita ko sa mga researcher na nagiging problema nila kapag sila ay nagre-research. Once they have defended their research paper, they have completed their paper, kadalasan ang tanong, pinababago ang kanyang conclusion sapagkat ito ay hindi tama at naaayon kung ano ba ang laman ng isang conclusion. Again, never include numerical figures in your conclusion. So, ano ba yung dapat makita, ma'am? Discuss natin yan at magbibigay din tayo ng example. Simulan natin kung paano natin gagawin ang ating conclusion. So, how to make conclusion nga ba in our research study? As I have mentioned, magagawa natin ito kapag na-interpret at na-analyze natin ang ating data. Nakapaglagay na tayo ng mga implications ng result ng findings. Siyempre, una, na dapat laman ng conclusion natin, i-restate natin yung ating research problem. So, restating your research problem does not necessarily mean that kailangan ilagay mo siyang lahat. Begin by revisiting the primary research question or hypothesis. This reminds readers of the study's focus and context. So, specifically, one-liner, you have to recall what is the research objective or question of that specific problem. Ikalawa, summarize key findings. Provide a concise summary of the main findings. Highlights the most important results, emphasizing paano ba nito ina-address yung research problem. Pero syempre gagamit tayo ng clear and straightforward language. Third, discuss natin yung implications. So, we repeat, una, i-restate natin very shortly ang ating research question or problem. Pangalawa, i-summarize natin yung key findings. Ano ba yung nangyari dun sa pag-conduct natin ng study dun sa specific research question na yon? Ang kailangan nating i-highlight ay yung most important results. Pero hindi ibig sabihin na ika-copy-paste natin kung ano yung nakalagay dun sa ating interpretation ng data or yung summary of data natin. Pangatlo, discuss implications. So, pag-discuss natin ang implications, so meron tayong kailangan na i-consider na tatlo. So, ano ba yung mga i-consider ma'am na tatlong implications? So, pwede natin i-consider yung tinatawag nating theoretical implications. So, ano ba yung nabangga? Okay, or ano ba yung nahagip, tinamaan ng findings ng ating study base sa mga teorya na nag-exist? No? So, ito yung teorya ng isang tao, ito yung naging result ng aking study. So, ano ba yung nangyari? Yun yung tinatawag na theoretical implications. Pangalawa, practical implications. So, pag sinabi nating practical implications, ito yung pwedeng magamit ng mga policymakers or ng ibang tao relative sa naging result ng iyong study. At yung pangatlo naman is yung for future research. So dito lumalabas yung mga gap. No? So pwede natin kasing makita rin ang research gap dito sa mga conclusions na meron sa mga research paper. So ano pa yung mga kakulangan ng iyong research study na po pwedeng magamit pa or aralin pa ng ibang mga future researchers. So pwede nilang i-explore, pwede nilang investigate at magkaroon ng emergent study tungkol dito. So yun yung mga tinatawag nating implications. So dun sa iyong conclusion, pwede mong i-discuss yung theoretical, yung practical, at saka yung future research implications na naging result ng iyong study. So let's continue. Pwede rin namang mag-address ng limitations ng iyong conclusion. So, i-acknowledge mo yung limitations ng iyong study na makaka-apekto dun sa findings. Kasi kapag nag-address ka ng limitations at mai-cite mo siya, no, very shortly sa iyong conclusion, nakakapag-demonstrate siya ng transparency and encourages a critical understanding of your work. So, discuss mo din kung paano na-address yung limitations na ito. Then, you have to provide a short recommendations, no? Often actionable recommendations based on your findings. But other research format do not encourage this one because it can be reflected on the recommendations part of your paper. So, po pwedeng sa iba, ina-allow nila ito kasi this could target a specific stakeholders or broader suggestions per practice or policy. Ano yung pinakahuli? End with a closing statement. Mag-conclude ka ng thought-provoking statement or call for action that reinforce the importance of your research. Parang humahamon ka ng ibang researcher, hina-highlight mo yung impact ng findings ng iyong study para magamit for future work in the field. Ini-state mo, in-encourage mo yung iba, okay, na ang aking study ay ito at po pwedeng sa ibang study, pwede bang i-explore nyo naman yung ganitong bagay or aralin nyo naman yung ganitong bagay. Now, magkaroon tayo ng example kung paano gumawa ng isang conclusion. So, doon sa 6 tips na sinabi natin, magbigay tayo ng specific statement na po pwedeng umanswer doon, no, sa mga structure na yun. Una, yung relate the research problem. So, pwede natin sabihin, this study aimed to investigate the impact of social media on adolescent mental health. So that's your restating your research problem. Second, idugtong mo yung research key findings. Findings indicate a significant correlation between social media usage and increased anxiety and depression among adolescents. Third, discuss mo yung implications ng iyong study. This result suggests a need for mental health professional to consider social media as a factor in adolescent and mental health assessment. So, dun sa tatlong implication natin, ito ay practical implication. Address limitations. However, the study was limited by its reliance on self-reported data, which may introduce bias. Then, provide recommendations if necessary and if it is required in your format. Future research should explore longitudinal effects and interventions that can mitigate negative impacts. Closing statement. Ultimately, understanding these dynamics is crucial for fostering healthier online environments for young people. So, kung bubuuin natin, for example, ito yung ating research question, base doon. How does remote work impact employee productivity and job satisfaction in the tech industry? So, natapos na ang iyong research paper. So, ngayon, gawa ka na ng conclusion mo base sa research question na ito, no? Ang conclusion, ulitin natin, ay nagbabase sa findings ng iyong study, no, sa result, specifically ina-address nito per research question. Pero sa mga journal article, they have a research question commonly in general, no? Pero pagka ikaw ay mayroong master's thesis or dissertation, ina-address mo o binibigyan mo ng conclusion ang bawat research question. So, base dito sa ating research question na ito yung nabuo nating conclusion. So, yung elemento ng lahat ng sinabi natin kanina ay nandito at nag-e-end siya sa yung tinatawag nating closing statement, no? So, dito sa statement na to, nakapag-provide siya ng restating the research problem, which is the first sentence, then yung summary of findings, then yung practical implications sa kanyang example, in-address niya rin yung limitations, nag-provide din siya ng recommendations, at lastly, nagkaroon siya ng closing statement, no? In-encourage mo yung iba, can do the same way of doing conclusion. Now, Ano ba yung kailangan nating i-avoid kapag tayo ay gagawa ng conclusion? Una, introducing a new information. So sa introducing new information, hindi naman kasali sa research mo yung ginawa mong conclusion pero nilalagay mo siya. So ibig sabihin, you don't have a basis of making that conclusion. So you don't introduce new information. Then second, you have being vague, no? So masyadong malawak, hindi specific yung conclusion na binibigay mo at hindi maintindihan ng reader kung bakit naibigay mo yung ganong klase ng conclusion. So you have to be very specific on the findings or implications that you are giving to your research. Third, repetition. So ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, na-discuss mo na siya sa findings, tapos nag-conclude ka, nire-restate mo na naman yung findings mo dun sa iyong conclusion. So, dapat meron kang synthesis or summary ng conclusions na meron ka. Hindi mo siya nilalagay yung findings mo or yung numerical results ng study mo sa conclusion. It's a big no. Okay? Then, other than that, overgeneralization naman. So, we have mentioned a while ago, masyadong vague, malawak, or ikino-cover mong lahat pero hindi naman maintindihan ng reader ano specifically yung ina-address mo. Kaya I advised when you make your conclusion, base it on each research question so that it will be clear ano bang conclusion ang ina-address sa iyong study. So ano pa ang kailangan nating i-avoid? Masyadong mahaba yung ating conclusion. So it has 2 or 3 paragraphs. So, masyado siyang mahaba. 1 paragraph will do for a conclusion summarizing all the elements or the 6 elements that I have mentioned a while ago. So, wag masyadong mahaba. Kasi magiging parang summary of findings na yung iyong conclusion. Other than that, pwede rin naman yung tinatawag nating neglecting limitation. Yung limitation kasi, as I have mentioned, kapag na-state natin to sa ating conclusion, ina-address na yung gap na pwedeng i-address or gamitin at makita at iaral ng mga future researchers. So, sa conclusion, isa yung way para makita yung tinatawag nating gap ng iyong study. So, you have to be transparent. You have to state that there is really a limitation in your study because there is no such perfect research. That's why tinatawag itong research because it evolves through time by the hands of different researchers. Okay? So, I hope na nakatulong ako sa inyo kung paano gumawa ng conclusion. So, iwasan na natin yung conclusion na merong mga numerical findings because those are not conclusion. Balikan nyo lang at panoorin nyo itong video na ito para makapag-create kayo ng sarili nyong conclusion and I assure you, kaya nyo siyang gawin base sa mga sinabi nating elements na kailangan laman ng isang conclusion. If this video helps you, please like, share, and subscribe our YouTube channel. How to make conclusion, which is also one of the struggles of researcher when they want to complete the research paper. Inuulit-ulit ko, ang conclusion ay hindi nagre-restate ng numerical figures or findings ng inyong study. It can state the summary of findings, but only the important elements are there. Always remember, we unlock insights to empower your minds. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you on our next lesson video. Bye-bye.